Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm definitely feeling good today. I was not feeling good for the last 2 or 3 days at all. And I feel good today, so wanted to make a video right now. So I have been planning to do this video for a while. It is a book haul that I did. I did a small book haul, but I also have some books in here that some of them are ARCs, some of them are books that came in subscription boxes. So just some new stuff I haven't talked about in my last haul. So I'm really excited to talk to you about these books because some of these are phenomenal. They are so cool, and like, I really went out of my way to pick these out, especially to just get an exciting group of books for me to read. So we're gonna have a lot of fun just talking about those books. Also, my package from Regina's Haunted Library has arrived. I was one of the winners for her giveaway. So I will be doing a special video just doing this unboxing. I'm hoping that I can get Batilda to maybe stop in and say hi. That's gonna be so cool. I can't wait to do that. So that'll be next. So before we get into the book haul, let's just do a few comment shoutouts because there is a few that I wanted to mention about DNFs. Super Strange Shadow says, can't DNF books. It will just make me feel guilty. I have to finish even the books I don't like. It makes me feel more complete. And that's a really interesting point. I think like that makes a lot of sense. You know, like even if you didn't really enjoy it, completing it, you know, is definitely a nice feeling of closure at least, even if you didn't like the book. Priscilla Betta says, I will DNF a book that I picked up on my own, and it could be a great book, but a mismatch with my reading preferences. But I will push through an ARC or a beta read. Yeah, I totally understand that. Drax17 says, I didn't used to, but this year I've DNF'd 5 books so far. Life's too short for boring books. I kind of have to agree. I mean, I feel like reading is very dependent upon your time. And if you're a parent or you're working full time or, you know, whatever, you have life going on, it's like you really have to make time to read. And like, I know so many people who only read when they're commuting. So if they're not commuting for some reason, they're probably not going to have a chance to read, or when their kids go to sleep, or, you know, just on vacation only. It's definitely like, I feel like if you're reading a lot of books, it might be more beneficial for you to DNF. But if you're reading kind of more leisurely and casually, then, you know, reading them to their completion might feel more just satisfactory. James Fetcho says, I have never DNF'd a book. I don't believe I can properly judge a book unless I finish. I feel like that could be like a kind of fun, controversial statement to discuss. Like, do you think that's true? Do you feel you have to actually complete a book before you can judge it? I don't DNF a lot of books. I think I've DNF'd 2 or 3 in the last 2 years. So, you know, I probably like you will put a book on trial to see if I really want to DNF it, because it's kind of a big deal. Like, you want to give the book a chance, but there are some things though that are just really not gonna mix. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that one, because that's a real interesting one. So let's get to this book haul before I drop it. The first book is Just After Sunset by Stephen King. You probably saw this in one of my Abominable boxes. This is one of the used books. This is a collection of short stories. I think off the top of my head, one of the stories that were recommended was Gingerbread Girl, so I'll definitely be starting with that one. I will be adding this to my short story reviews, so I will be getting to this at some point soon-ish. The next book is John Saul's The Black Stone Chronicles. Now, I had found this when I was doing the scary locations research, and I was like trying to find, I think it was like a asylum or something, because this does have an asylum in it, but at the time I just couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to get. But I kept coming back to it again and again on GOODREADS and decided to grab it. And I just recently, I guess some type of synchronicity happening. A few other people have been grabbing this book as well. And this originally came out in 1997, so it's not new, it is vintage. But let me read the back to you because it is so cool. Blackstone, a small New England town whose long buried secrets are sins coming back to life, to haunt, to terrorize. From the top of Blackstone's highest hill, the old Blackstone Asylum casts its shadow over the village. Built in the 1890s, the asylum has been vacant for many years, but now the Wrecker's Ball is poised to strike, smashing into the old stones and unleashing a terrible evil, an unholy fear long locked within those cold walls. Soon, strange gifts, a doll, a locket, a handkerchief, begin to appear on the doorsteps of the town's finest citizens. Each carries a mysterious history. Each brings a horrifying power to harm. And Blackstone, if it is to survive this horror, must discover and atone for the sins of its fathers. And I think what really drew me in was the strange gifts that begin appearing at people's homes, and that these gifts have like a story to tell. I like that little element, really just has me, so this is gonna be good. 12 Nights at Rotter House by J.W. Ocker. Now, I've seen a lot of people have been reading this or have read it and reviewed it. Yeah, it just sounds really cool and interesting. So I had to pick it up. And this is actually new. This is one of my actual brand new books, so it's kind of exciting. Felix Alzey is a travel writer who specializes in creepy destinations. For his next book, he's chosen to seal himself inside a notorious, abandoned, haunted house for 2 weeks to see what happens. His oldest friend, Thomas Ruth, joins him, although the two haven't spoken in a year, and the baggage they bring along is more than the kind needed for the project. The house Felix chooses for his book and reunion with his friend is Rotterdam Mansion, known infamously as Rotter House. The 19th century home was built by a one-armed carpenter and has sheltered as many deaths as it has rooms, and it's packed with ghost stories, legends, and lore. Yet all the ghost stories are unimaginative, normal, paranormal, the same stories that every haunted house has, both in fiction and real life. But when Felix and Thomas get to Rotter House, the two obsessive horror movie fans don't find the typical tropes they know so well. The horror and the mystery they find in Rotter House is different, strange. By the end, the two discover what's worse, the secrets of Rotter House or the secrets between friends. So it sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's gonna be maybe, you know, kind of psychological, kind of like this tension between the friends that's going to be building up, and maybe that's going to be interacting with the house, and maybe that's going to be kind of just creating this whole entire atmosphere, situation. The setting is really cool, the house, the history and everything. Like two people coming in with this complicated relationship and some paranormal things happening. So this sounds perfect for me. This is good. This is so good. So excited on this one. The House of 100 Whispers. You may have seen this in one of my Abominable unboxings as well. This is very exciting. This is by Graham Masterton. I'm trying to learn how to say that. And this just sounds phenomenal. I mean, it sounds like it has so much mood and so much atmosphere. I'm like, I need to wear this as I read this, you know? On a windswept moor, an old house guards its secrets. All Hallows Hall is a rambling two-door mansion on the edge of a bleak and misty moor. It is not a place many would choose to live. Yet the former governor of Dartmoor Prison did just that. Now he's dead, and his children, long estranged, are set to inherit his estate. But when the dead man's family come to stay, the atmosphere of the moor seemed to drift into every room. Floorboards creak, secret passageways echo, and wind whistles in the house's famous priest hole. And then, on the same morning, the family decide to leave for good. Their young son Timmy disappears from inside the house. It's always Timmy, isn't it? I grabbed myself another Adam Nevill book because you know he's my favorite and I love his writing style, I love his stories, so I had to grab another one. Eventually I'm gonna have all of them and it's gonna be really hard to wait for him to come out with a new book every year or so. This really appealed to me because there's puppets in this one. And I think puppets are so cool as like a creepy element. They're just so spooky. I think that's why I love stop animation, because it just looks so uncanny, like so bizarre, you know? And if I was to see that in real life, oh, that'd be so cool. The Red House, home to the damaged genius of the late M.H. Mason, master taxidermist and puppeteer, where he lived and created some of his most disturbing works. The building and its treasure trove of antiques is long forgotten, but the time has come for his creations to rise from the darkness. Catherine Howard can't believe her luck when she's invited to value the contents of the house. When she first sees the elaborate displays of poised, costumed, and preserved animals, macabre puppets, she's both thrilled and terrified. It's an opportunity to die for. But the Red House has secrets, secrets as dreadful and dark as those from Catherine's own past. At night, the building comes alive with noises and movements, footsteps, and the fleeting glimpses of small shadows on the stairs, and soon the barriers between reality, sanity, and nightmare begin to collapse. I do feel a little bit of similar vibes here, you know, just with having, you know, the main character bringing her own baggage and like it being kind of part of the story somehow and probably how things will play out. The next book is by S.L. Gray. This is The Ward. You probably remember S.L. Gray from The Apartment, which you know that I loved so much, and this cover too is just, love it. But I wanted to get another book of these two authors to test out, and this one just kind of spoke to me. Lisa is a plastic surgery addict with severe self-esteem issues. The only hospital that will let her go under the knife is New Hope, a grimy, gray-walled facility dubbed No Hope by his patients. Pharrell is a celebrity photographer. His last memory is a fight with his fashion model girlfriend, and now he's woken up in No Hope. Alone, needle marks crisscross his arms. A sinister nurse keeps tampering with his drip. And he's woken up blind. Panicked and disoriented, Pharrell persuades Lisa to help him escape, but the hospital's dimly lit corridors only take them deeper underground, into a twisted mirror world staffed by dead-eyed nurses and doped-up orderlies. Down here, in the modification ward, Lisa can finally have the face she wants, but at a price that will haunt them both forever. So I'm expecting this to have like some really cool, maybe Twilight Zone vibes to it. I'm not really sure. I don't really know what to expect with this, but because I love The Apartment so much, I'm thinking it's probably going to be something, you know, that I'm not expecting, but I'll probably like. I hope. Let's hope. Nick Cutter, The Deep. I got this in one of my Abominable boxes as well, and I was very excited to get this because it just sounds amazing. And I love deep sea horror. I love this concept of, you know, just the unknown mysteries of the deep, and just how alien things can be down there. A strange plague called the Gets is decimating humanity on a global scale. It causes people to forget small things at first, like where they left their keys, then the not so small things like how to drive or the letters of the alphabet. Their bodies forget how to function involuntarily. There is no cure. But far below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, a universal healer hailed as Ambrosia has been discovered. In order to discover this phenomenon, a special research lab has been built 8 miles under the sea's surface. When the station goes incommunicado, a brave few descend through the lightless fathoms in hopes of unraveling the mysteries lurking at those crushing depths, and perhaps to encounter an evil blacker than anyone could possibly imagine. Brian Lumley's Necroscope. This is a really great cover. The artwork is beautiful, but it has a insane synopsis. It is so crazy. Let's take a read. From the undead vampire in the Romanian mausoleum, Boris Dragazani tries to draw an evil force so powerful he will gain supremacy in the ultra-secret paranormal agency he works for in Russia. His official job is as a Necroscope. His specialty is tearing secrets from the souls of newly dead traitors. And England too has her Necroscope, her communicator with the dead. When Harry Keogh is recruited by the British Secret Service to take on the paranormal menace from behind the Iron Curtain, the stage is set for the most horrifying, violent, supernatural confrontation ever. Necroscope. And on the front it says, vampirism, necromancy, supernatural mayhem, and shrieking bloody terror. This is amazing. This was recommended to me by James Fetcho. He's kind of been, you know, trying to encourage me to pick up this book, so I finally have. I am very intrigued by this. I'm very, very intrigued. It was written in the 80s, and I think like the synopsis has a little bit of that feel because, you know, at the time, the Cold War and all that kind of stuff was definitely hot topics people want to talk about. Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. This is a Abominable Book Club book as well. You've probably seen this around by now. This has really been making the rounds the last, I don't know, year or so because of its intensity and its depth and its theme, which is cannibalism. If everyone was eating human meat, would you? Marcos is in the business of slaughtering humans, only no one calls them that. He works with numbers, consignments, processing. One day he's given a specimen of the finest quality. He leaves her, tied up in an outhouse, a problem to be disposed of later. But she haunts Marcos. Her trembling body and watchful gaze seem to understand, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. So this is really just kind of tearing people apart, I think, in so many different ways. So this is going to be one of those moody reads.
I'm in a killing mode.
Not so much because of the cannibalism or the gore or anything. I think this is going to have some really deep existential stuff. I know it has stuff also about the meat industry too, which is always disturbing, so we'll need to prepare for this. Now this is an ARC request that I got. I love it when authors really go full out on their covers and like they go and they put all these little details in there and they just really take the theme and run with it. This is called Mina and the Undead. And you can see here, for instance, like it says, mystery, be kind, and rewind. It has VHS on it. It also has a YA sticker. And on the back, it has a fake little label here for a price tag. So this is YA horror. It's not something that I read that often. But this sounds really fun. And I also like how these pages are. They're kind of like darker on the edges. So this is Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw. The premise is pretty cool. Let's read the synopsis. New Orleans Fang Fest, 1995. Mina's having a summer to die for. Mina arrives in New Orleans to visit her estranged sister Libby. She loves nothing more than a creepy horror movie and can't wait to explore the city's darkest secrets. Vampire tours, seedy bars, spooky cemeteries, disturbing local myths. Mina lands a part-time job at a horror movie mansion and meets Jared, Libby's gorgeous housemate and fellow horror enthusiast. But the perfect summer bliss is broken when she stumbles upon the body of a girl with puncture marks on her neck, clutching a lock of hair that suspiciously looks like Libby's. Someone is replicating New Orleans' most brutal supernatural killings. Mina must discover the truth and prove her sister's innocence before she becomes the victim of another myth. So it sounds really fun. I just love this idea of a film horror house, or horror mansion. And, you know, obviously this main character is loving everything that probably you and I love. Cemeteries and disturbing local myths and vampire tours and all that kind of good stuff. So she is a character after my own heart, so.
We are like totally twins.
Hoping that I'm really gonna vibe with this one. This is also an ARC request. This is an author whose books I review on the regular, which is really cool because I really enjoy reading his novellas. I think they're just really good. They're just really good, and the stories are really interesting and also complete. So it feels like a full meal, even though it's just an appetizer. This is After Me, The Great Flood by Jayson Robert Ducharme. I love this artwork on the cover. Wishing to leave the past behind, struggling young mother Lena Hagen and her child move into a house belonging to the enigmatic yet affable senior Alice Delaporte. As she settles into her new home, she begins a genuine friendship with her landlord, and they discover a fondness and mutual trust for each other. However, as the months go on, Lena begins experiencing increasingly bizarre and fantastical happenings, and suspects that there is something nefarious lurking beneath the foundations of the house, which Alice will not admit is there. To uncover the truth, Lena must put her relationship with Alice at hazard, and what she discovers is something unearthly and beyond death itself. So this is Smithy. I had signed up to read this book, I think like a year ago, but it finally arrived and it just sounds so cool. I love the artwork. I don't know if you can really see it because it's so shiny, but there's like a monkey in a chair and it says Smithy and there's a cross up here. It's a really just fabulous, interesting story, and it is one of these books that are documents that you read. So they're files, they're emails, they're letters, they're scripts, there's all kinds of stuff, notes, journals, things like that. So you're gonna be reading through all of those things here, which, you know, is not my favorite thing, as I've mentioned before, but the premise is so cool, I really have to check it out. So let's read what it's about. In the tumultuous summer of 1974, in the shadowy rooms of a rundown mansion in Rhode Island, renowned psychologist Dr. Piers Price Harold brings together a group of 6 collegiate researchers to study the inner lives of man's closest relative, the primate. They set out to teach their subject, who would eventually be known to the world as Smithy, American Sign Language. But as the summer deepens and the history of the mansion manifests, the messages signed by their research subject becomes increasingly spectral. Nearly 25 years after the Smithy project ended in tragedy at Trevor Hall, questions remain. Was Smithy a hoax, a clever mimic, a Rorschach projection of humanity's greatest hopes and fears? Or was he indeed what devotees of metaphysics have claimed for so long, a link between our world and the next? I just can't wait to read this. It sounds so cool and unique, and I just hope, you know, that it's not too tedious for me to, you know, to read all of these different articles and notes and stuff like that, and that the story comes through, because I've actually never read a book like this before in my life. Like I guess I've sort of done it in video games, but not to this extent. Like, so this will be an experiment also on this monkey. This one is Don't Trust Bees. This is another author that I read his works regularly. This is Deep Arya. This is a weird collection of short fictions. Cults, Killers, Lost Gods, Ghosts. Deep Arya's first collection of short stories delves further into the strange and highly weird world of Aryaverse. In these 14 tales of misfortune, curses, specters, and monstrous creatures, the fictitious and elusive author Neil Northway explores the theme of bees and the nefarious mishaps they bring to the people in this world. Tales of hideous insectoids, a seance that goes terribly wrong. A walk in the park turns into a disturbing experience. and many, many more. So it sounds interesting. I know like in the Overbridge and the Broken Rock, like those stories are connected to, like in the sense that they exist in the same universe. So it makes sense that all of these stories will also be connecting there as well. Another abominable book. This is The Others by Sarah Blau. This is not a horror book, but it is a thriller mystery, and I love a good thriller mystery. And this one's pretty interesting. This is also a translated work from Hebrew into English. A serial killer is on the loose in Tel Aviv. Each victim is found tied to a chair with a baby doll glued to their hands, the word mother carved into their foreheads like a mark of Cain. Stowed away between the wax figurines of the Bible Museum, where she works, Sheila Heller suspects that she alone knows the connection between the victims. The killings seem to be linked by a pact their group all made at university to never have children. What Sheila doesn't know is who is committing these gruesome acts of ritualistic violence and whether she herself might be the next target. And it's interesting too, because at the top it says they would rather die than become mothers. So I think there's some history there. So last but not least is a book that I ordered, and when it arrived, I realized it's not a book, it's a DVD. I don't know what happened. So this is what I meant to get though, was The Exorcist, because so many people have been telling me that, you know, they want me to read it and to review it, and I want to read it and review it as well. So that was my book haul. I hope that you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys today. If you like this video, please like and comment below. And besides that, please take care of yourselves, watch out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.